The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
The Rangers morph and summon the Zords that they really should have started with. Team Zoa ache. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Dino Fury Second Era episode review. A dark time for my faith in this franchise was answered, rather coincidentally considering this was the time that I personally watched it, by a fantastic episode of Dino Fury. You know, that show that Hasbro told us is coming back for the rest of Season 2. Really sometime down the road. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm not really used to anticipating the 11th episode of a season. It is the middle of the road, but we've been taking the hiatus break around episode 8 or 9. I don't even know, since I haven't peeked ahead, if they knew that's where a break would be and wrote around that. I am getting a little ahead of myself though, so first let's get a new combo focus, green and gold, by taking a look at the 10th episode of Dino Fury Second Era, Losers Weepers.
Please make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon.
Right you. What he said was, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos.
We start in the forest where Izzy and Aiyon have decided to have a bike race. You know, Aiyon's always been super interested in extreme sports. You must remember that time that he... Anyway, it's a close back and forth race until Aiyon accidentally catches Izzy's back wheel and she crashes. Her bike is trashed and she's mad, but then they realize that they've found an old army truck, labeled Area 62. Neither of them know what that actually means. Izzy just says it's an old military base nearby. Why haven't the Rangers ever tried to find where Void Knight / Void Queen / etc. were coming from? Izzy finds a locked case, and when Aiyon says, let's see what they have found, she says, oh no, they have a saying on Earth, finders keepers, losers episode title. However, all that's inside is a spiked collar, and I mean like huge spikes, which she tosses aside. Aiyon searches the truck and finds another case. Izzy jokes that maybe the leash is inside, but instead, there's money. Lots of money. Not sure why an army truck would be carrying a case full of cash, but hey. Izzy is excited, but oh no, Izzy. Finders keepers, remember?
The money is mine. I have the money is mine.
Oh yeah, Mucus shows up, grabs the collar, puts it on, and it makes her giant. Though after about 20 seconds, she liquefies and reforms small. Aiyon and Izzy headed back to the base just before that to tell the others about the money, as Aiyon dumps it into his gold backpack. That's actually really dangerous. There was a good chance here to teach the kids about checking accounts, though that would make me wonder how an alien opened a checking account, so maybe they couldn't win here. Izzy is still being whiny and petulant that Aiyon won't share the money, and he rightly points out she was the one that said finders keepers. He hits her good too, telling her she's just throwing a temper tantrum because she isn't getting what she wants.
It's funny because it's true.
I swear, and I'm saying this right now, if the moral of this story is that Aiyon should share the money and there is no repentance from Izzy for her selfish attitude, the scoring for this episode will start from 2.75 out of 5. Aiyon leaves on his way to get some of his beloved Froyo, but stops when he sees a gold sequin jacket. This starts a gold-themed shopping spree. But when a store clerk says he's looking good, he seems to feel guilty about it. Back at Area 62, we get an interesting reversal. Now Void Queen is keeping Tarek in the tank, still with no water, telling him he's powerless to stop her now. She then walks out, and when the generals say they can't find Void Knight, she hides the fact that he's already there, telling them to focus on the Rangers. Mucus tells her about the collar, and she finds the ability to grow on command interesting. She brings out a new Sporix beast, Flapnarok. She does mention that she had a brother whose name she doesn't remember, which makes sense because she wasn't there. But she does declare herself Mother of the Sporix, so maybe there's a connection. Anyway, I didn't remember her brother either. It was Dragnarok, the fourth Sporix beast the Rangers fought. Thanks, Ranger Wikia. And bonus info, for both of those creatures, any human-sized footage was original, because they were only giants in Ryusoulger.
Get on with it!
Right. So, Void Queen demands Mucus give the collar to Flapnarok. She tries to play the same game as Izzy, Finders Keepers, but Void Queen isn't interested and zaps her. Interestingly, somehow hitting her in a way where she doesn't just liquefy, just falls down. And Flapnarok gets the collar. At the base, Ollie and Amelia are polishing their swords.
We're just done with phrasing, right? That's not a thing anymore?
And while I'm fully in favor of this ship, now they're starting to hammer it in. For kids, I guess. She points out that he missed a spot, he thanks her, and warm, lovey smiles from both of them. Aww. Anyway, they get the alert about a giant Flapnarok, which is odd because they never start large. Zato calls Aiyon, but he doesn't respond, because for some reason he took his communicator off, leaving it in a shopping bag and listening to music. Aiyon, you were climbing a bit, but you're slipping again. The Rangers teleport out there, unmorphed. If you know you're dealing with a giant monster, why not morph at the base and summon the Zords? Flapnarok attacks them with lightning. They dive away, but the ground is clearly wet, and nothing happens, because of course it doesn't. The Rangers morph and summon the Zords they really should have started with. Team Zoa take the Dino Fury Megazord Smash formation, while the siblings Garcia are in the Terra Freeze Zord battle mode. Flapnarok says she's gonna go eat New York, but the Terrazord takes her down back over Pine Grove or Los Angeles or whatever it is. Here's that Zord combo name I hate again, but to be fair...
Well, to be fair...
Oh, don't say to be fair. I hate when people say to be fair.
At least using this combo makes sense. They reform into the Terra Smash Megazord. Nope, not calling it what it isn't. Though this does mean the Trichera and Ankylozords just kind of wander off somewhere. Still not going well though, and the Rangers need a drill knee to the face to get free, and their Fire and Ice finisher doesn't do anything. Flapnarok zaps them back, the Ultrazord breaks apart, and the Rangers get a pleasantly nostalgic drop to the ground. But as Flapnarok describes how she'll finish the Rangers off, she shrinks back to ground level. The collar is out of energy. Instead of doing the smart thing and, leaving, she summons henchmen. I guess to pad out the episode and give us another interesting first-person view as she watches the Rangers try and fail to snatch the collar. Then she runs away. Zato declares they're going to need a new Zord combination to beat her. Alright, here we go. This isn't going to be fun. So Aiyon is still sitting and moping when who should show up but Pop Pop. I actually kind of like this. He would be around town from time to time, and this actually has nothing to do with Amelia. He loves Aiyon's jacket, but notices that Aiyon is sad. He explains that he and Izzy had an argument, and Pop Pop realizes Aiyon was trying a little retail therapy to feel better. He gives what I think is going to be the good of the two lessons this episode. Buying things only makes you feel good for a little while. And you know what? That feels like a moral pointed at older fans. I doubt the 6-year-olds in the audience get mad at their friend at school and head to the mall with a credit card. They don't. Right? Aiyon takes this to heart and in classic Power Rangers fashion takes it way overboard. He gives Pop Pop the jacket, gives a random kid nearby a skateboard. He does at least ask the kid's mom first. And then as we cut away from him, he's clearly going to start giving away the rest of everything he bought.
No, 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 no.
Quick scene at Area 62 where Void Queen tells Mucus to charge the collar. She whines about why Flapnarok doesn't have to do it, but Void Queen just threatens to zap her again. That was about as short as a Power Rangers Fan First event, and with slightly more useful information.
That was a great scene.
Back to base, where they're trying to figure out what they can do to counter this beast. Solon has an idea, but says Zato won't like it, and he realizes she's talking about yet another not an Ultrazord combination. The Primal Ultrazord. He instantly rejects the idea, and the other Rangers ask why. This is where the story takes a curveball, and at first it wasn't one I really liked, and I'm still kind of back and forth on it. You see, this is the combination the ancient Dino Fury Rangers tried against the Sporix 65 million years ago. The one that was too powerful, cut lines into the earth, exploded, and killed, for all we know, 4 of them. This combination of 3 Zords. Yes, all 3 of those Zords have battle modes, but still, I was a little confused, so I checked, and it turns out that...
Oh my god, I was wrong.
I could have sworn that there was some kind of 6 Zord or more combination in Ryusoulger. But, according to Ranger Wikia, there was not. In fact, the biggest combination is something that we've not only already seen, but it was a long time ago. Dino Fury Megazord Warrior Formation, which combines 5 Zords.
Moving right along.
Anyway, the other Rangers say if it's all they've got, they have to try. Besides, as Ollie points out, Solon has had millions of years to think of new ideas. She gives a very Star Trek response, saying they can cool the T-Rex's plasma conduits by transferring coolant from the Terrazord.
Now, you do know what a bilateral kelelactral is.
Well, of course I do, human. I am not stupid.
However, to do this, Solon has to scan the MOSA key, which Aiyon has. Still not answering his communicator. I swear, if he left it in a bag of stuff that he gave to someone else, I'm going to be so frustrated. And Izzy says she will take care of this, going to find him. She gets to the plaza where he was, but just finds a crowd holding the bags he bought. She looks around and finds Pop Pop, and he explains about the jacket and how Aiyon, indeed, basically gave everything he bought away. All these smiles, thanks to him. Oh. More on this later. Anyway, he wanders back out, and Izzy tells him stuff is going down. Aiyon puts his communicator back on. In fairness, to not use the gag again, he was wearing a large watch, so it probably felt like he had his communicator on. And no, it was basically in the one shopping bag that he actually kept. Aiyon returns, gives Solon the key, and just in time, as Flapnarok returns. And by the by, she's blowing the city up. Huge explosions everywhere. Want to bet the city's fine by the next episode? This time, the Rangers do the smart thing, morph in the base, and summon the Zords right away, forming the Primal Megazord. It's still not an Ultra Zord, why would I call it one? Listen, this actually is the closest the footage provides to one, as it technically combines 3 Megazords. But there's only 3 Zords, period. I cannot call that an Ultra Zord.
No, 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 no!
It does look cool, red, light blue, and white with gold accents. Using the sharp-toothed heads as hands, it's great. The drama of the formation being stable or not is solved immediately. As Zato says, it's stable. So, cool, I guess. This is a minor nitpick, but these hit back to back, so I need to talk about it. One of the strengths of this show has been the writing. It's been updated to sound more natural for the modern age, the Rangers at least more often sounding like real people, especially Izzy, the youngest one. Here, Aiyon says there's something he's waited 65 million years to try, except the emphasis is on there. There's something I've been waiting 65 million years to try. Maybe the combo itself, except right after that, the Megazord does that super speed motion trail thing to grab the monster by the tail. Then Izzy, of all people, goes, "Swing a dragon? I love this for us."
What are you talking about?
I do love what happens next as they fling the monster through 5 mountains, then rush over and kick it down into the sea. She has gills, which totally makes sense for a flying dragon, because shut up. The Rangers use a triple beam, one from each head, to zap the monster into space. Oh, if you thought it was silly for me to wonder if the city is going to be damaged in the next episode, the Rangers use their finisher, Primal Ultra Blast, which, by the way, shows us that all of the Zords are providing power to this, which makes no sense because only 3 of them are even there. And it blasts Flapnarok into the moon, cracking the moon. But I'm sure that won't affect its orbit or mess with the tides or gravity or anything. Makes it easy! Screw the ending of this episode. Seriously, I don't know if you've been picking up on this, but there's some stuff in Power Rangers I'm just getting tired of. Aiyon apologizes to the team for missing their calls, and then particularly to Izzy for not sharing the money. Credit where it's due, Izzy does also apologize. But of course, Aiyon spent the last of the money replacing Izzy's bike. She also has a really dumb moment where she asks, "Is that for me? It's green! What are you, Connor, asking which motorcycle is his when one of them is red?" The two have another race where Aiyon might just catch her back wheel and start this all over again. Let's just balance the scales. Episode 10, Losers, Weepers. Pros, actually works in an adult moral. The Primal Megazord looks neat, and another tough monster. Cons, the kids' moral was just bad. The Primal Megazord isn't what they call it, and really out of place filler. Maybe in general I'm losing my patience, but after such a strong episode last time, I'm not pulling my punches. Losers Weepers is a loser indeed, getting 2 scales out of 5. So, I sort of spoiled myself for this episode when writing the teaser for last time. You see, on Wikipedia they have these little summaries for each of the 11 episodes, but I need to read through them a little bit to come up with my own summary that doesn't include the plot details. Here, I actually had to read through the whole thing to try and find the point. And I still didn't, but that's coming up later. Anyway, what I'm driving at is that I read the summary and the true moral came through pretty quickly. Showing is cowing! So it caught me a little off guard when Pop Pop shows up, delivers the lesson, and it's a warning against retail therapy, the practice of buying stuff to make yourself feel better. Now, I'm going to deliver a rather deep and kind of adult take here. While that is true, in the world we live in, especially in the United States, mental health care is incredibly expensive, even with insurance benefits. So yes, while retail therapy will only make you feel better for a little while, sometimes it's all you have access to. Sometimes buying a $15 shirt is what you can afford, while $90 a week therapy sessions, you cannot. That being said, and goodness, I'm talking a lot about this one in particular, it is a surprisingly adult moral, and that's what Power Rangers needs more of. Speak to the parents. Speak to the adult fans. If you have to work in some morals, either make them independent of specific age, or do some for the older folks. The Primal Megazord, well, being honest, doesn't look primal. It really looks more regal. But as I said, the color scheme works really well. It's actually a disappointment to remember we don't get an all-Zord combo this time around, and boy, this is starting to feel like a very backhanded prose section. But this is pretty awesome. And while they don't do much with this, it is a nice ribbon to that factor of the backstory. It took a while, but Void Queen is finally starting to feel like an upping of the stakes. She's got Void Knight, and I just realized the Rangers went, oh no, we have to help him last time, and didn't even mention him this time. And now the Sporix Beast we're getting feels stronger. Another monster beats the Rangers around. And hey, this time I got that why not beat the Zords around I wanted last time. Okay, now for the cons that are actually cons and not pros that I still had issues with. But hey, I guess that's a 2 for you. Sharing is caring was the kids' moral, but it was really badly done. This was a weird way to tell this story. That truck being from Area 62 meant nothing. Why was an army truck carrying a case of cash? Why didn't the government come to reclaim it? Do you think the United States government just leaves money laying around? Aiyon claims it, rightly turning Izzy's words back on her. He did nothing wrong. He had nothing to apologize for. But then in the end, not only does he apologize to Izzy, the story seems to think that he has to give away everything he bought. This implies that they were ill-gotten gains. And you could technically argue that he could have reported it to the government, or had Izzy report it to the government. He is an alien. But really, he found money in a long-abandoned truck. That money was his. I was really hoping that he'd keep something, especially since Izzy was such a female dog for most of the episode, and she got a bike out of that money. It was just generally problematic. I've whined about this a lot already, so I'll just get this one out of the way for the sake of time. 3 Zords does not make an Ultra Zord. Moving on. And I'm going to let this serve as my overall take, which means editing this is going to be kind of fun the way I've been changing the slides around now. But this just feels really out of place. We had the great arc of Santora waking up, becoming Void Queen, Void Knight's turn, the villains chasing him. By the way, do you notice how these are all villain story and the Rangers are just sort of there? Void Knight basically giving Zato his powers, getting recaptured, and then this. Meaningless empty filler. The plot doesn't move at all. Not an inch. Void Queen has Void Knight captured. We already knew that. This episode feels like the worst combination of filler plot to burn Sentai footage and moral of the day nonsense. Honestly, Dino Fury, you're better than this, and I expect to see better in the mid-season finale, episode 11, The Copycat. Void Queen brainwashes Tarek and makes him a new kind of foe for the Rangers. And, oh yeah, something hobby music contest something. That's going to do it for another Power Rangers Dino Fury Second Era episode review. Thank you so much as always for watching. Now that the video's done, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it, down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to lend some financial support to the channel in a way that's not Patreon or Ko-fi, feel free to check out my shirts and other items at my Teespring store, Orange Ranger Videos. And if you're a little too busy to watch these videos on YouTube and want to listen to them in the gym, in the car, on the train or the bus, etc., you can check me out at Orange Ranger Audio at Anchor.fm or on Spotify. Until next time, heroes, may the power, salute, protect you. You know, that show that Hasbro is coming to... But we've been taking the hiatus break around... Yeah, I didn't say that right. Aiyon says there's something he's waited 65 million years to try. Says, Void Knight has Void...